this video, we are going to look at the craziest optical illusions you can create with Lego. So let's go. Okay, this thing obviously goes upwards. But what happens if we place a ball? The ball simply rolls upwards, no matter how many times or with how many balls. Yeah, but actually the balls are just rolling downwards. Because when we turn the whole thing, we see that this point is lower than this one. This dude looks pretty neutral, but from below he suddenly looks happy. And now as you haven't subscribed yet. Here it looks like a mini Rubik's Cube has suddenly spawned in the Lego world, when in reality it's just far away. On this side we have this round shape and on the other this rectangular one. Which can't actually be if you look closely. So how does it work? When we open the whole thing, it turns out there's a mirror in between. By this next illusion, it looks like there are different shades of yellow. But it's actually the same color.
Wow.
If you look at this shape a little longer, you can see that it must be impossible. Okay, let's take a look. Yup, right there. Okay, let's move on to a way bigger illusion. First, we build a chessboard pattern on this base plate. But we don't want to play chess, so we add these little studs. Alright, the illusion is finished. And it works really well. Of course, these little squares are completely straight, but these small dots force our brain to distort it completely. And here's something everyone can try at home. From this angle it says no, and from another angle it says yes. This piece looks smaller than that one, even though they're exactly the same. That's because it's further away. It also works well with Master Yoda. This bro is sitting down, but not on a chair. Okay, let's move on to something made of cheese wedges. Let's make a fair compromise, because now we suddenly have both a round and a flat earth. Okay, let's continue with the next. From down here it doesn't seem like much is happening, but as we move farther away we see wavy edges. Even though we know everything is perfectly straight, we still see it as distorted. The next one is very creepy because this is no ordinary skull. Wherever you go it follows you with its eyes. Okay, in fact the eyes don't move at all. They are just two red dots that are simply a bit further away. Definitely very simple and effective. Here we have a double bed. But yep, the whole thing doesn't really make sense if you look at it for too long. Let's see. Okay, it's just a matter of perspective. Okay, let's keep going. Here you have to pull up this black thing, and no matter how many times you do it, it always looks like there's an infinite amount of rod coming out of the ground. Pretty insane, because it's obviously just a rotating spiral. And yeah, even if you try to tell our brain something else, we always see the illusion. When you build something in two different scales, you can create the illusion that something is very far away from something else. This chill guy is trying his luck. Oh, she's walking away.
Zero riz.
Okay, let's help my bro. Oh, she's turning back around. Yeah, he made it. And here's another example for something in different scales. Here it looks like the water is floating uphill from the waterfall and then back to the waterfall. Or exactly the opposite. Okay, yep, not complicated. Only works from the right angle. Our chicken has laid 8 eggs so far, but if you just swap this, it's suddenly 9 eggs. And before it was simply missing here. This next optical illusion can be very confusing because you don't really know what it is. It looks like a cube, but it moves very strangely. It's definitely not a cube. For example, like with this package, it's just items built into the walls. I also tried this regular brick, and if you take your time, you'll see a brick with the studs going inwards. If you haven't seen it yet, pause the video because it's worth it. This plate is in front of this plate. Okay, actually it's the other way around. Okay, how does this next illusion work? We might think the red part is behind and in front of the blue part, which doesn't make sense. Okay, it's just a small cutout. So yeah, what is this? At this moment it looks like complete trash. But if we look here and rotate the whole thing, we suddenly have this bike. I used burnt glissies for the wheels, and I can say it was very easy to arrange the whole thing. This minifigure seems to be flying freely in the air, but it's being held by its own weight here. For the next one we need a lot of resources. This illusion is really crazy. If you add the right distance from the screen, you should see exactly such dots. Try focusing on one dot and you'll see it disappear. This piece looks like it's floating at first glance, but it's simply standing by itself. For the next illusion I built this huge tower, and when we look from above we see a staircase with no beginning and no end. There's just no end for these minifigures until the end of their lives. It seems impossible to pass this rod to this cutout. Okay, actually there is a way. Wow, that's so satisfying. Oh yeah! This might look like a staircase, but in reality it's just one level. If you keep looking at this thing, you'll see that it's very unusual for Lego bricks. The bricks would have to bend. So how can this be? The illusion only works from the right perspective. And yep, it's really that simple. With this I tried this room illusion. And if you focus a bit, you can also see a small right room here, even though it's just a pyramid. Once the illusion works, it looks pretty crazy. This circle looks smaller than this one, but they are the same size. For the next one we need this set. Let's quickly build it in a satisfying way. Wait, what? Why is this flying? I mean, there's nothing but air in between. Okay, let's take a look. Turns out there's this device down here. It keeps these magnets in the air, so you can put whatever you want on it. And it just flies completely freely in the air. It even works with heavy models. Let's take a look at the next one. Normally, you'd expect the rod to go like this, but it also works this way. So how does it work? Well, the frames are just tilted, which you can see from the front, and with that you can easily pass this rod. The next one can look very unusual and confusing at first glance, but if you look at it long and carefully, it makes sense. And here comes a cube which also looks impossible at first, but it's just a rod bent several times. Now let's move on to the last things before we check out the final illusion. Here's the illusion tourists always do. And yeah, it sometimes looks bad. We need these triangular tiles for the next things. Here's a structure that cannot exist in real life, and from here it looks slightly 3D because it's quite elongated. Okay, but the next one is much crazier. It already looks a bit more 3D, and when we rotate the whole thing we have exactly the same as before. What happens if we add this man who is walking in two directions? Here we have this simple illusion which also works on my hand, and it also works well with a cat. Okay, let's move on. Now we have this pyramid, and when coming closer from above, we have this distortion effect. This structure seems to have a strange connection, but if you look from a different perspective, it makes sense. Okay, let's move on to the last optical illusion. Okay, the lower layer, which consists of this pattern, we already have. Now we just need to add these small tiles. And an hour later, we have finished this pattern. Okay, let's see what it does. If you're at the right distance from the screen, you'll see everything very curved and distorted. Alright, comment down below which illusion you like the most, and if you want to see illegal building techniques, you'll find the video here.